Christy has an ultrasound machine. Wait, what? It was on the ambulance that came into town.
So you really think this is going to tell you anything?
I don't think anything's here by accident.
You really want to beat this place? Sober up.
Is someone upstairs? No. Oh my god. No.
What is up, everybody? Jeremy Eisenfire here, and welcome to the channel. Well, here we are, From fans. The second half of Season 3 is approaching as we get ready to enter Episode 6, entitled Scar Tissue. And this first half of the season, I must say, has been incredibly pleasing to watch so far. From high-intensity episodes to some really good character-developing moments, Season 3 has had a little bit of everything so far. And coming out of Episode 5, one thing certainly seems to be developing more and more each episode. The fact that the town is really being pushed to their brink. And that it certainly seems to not only be Boyd who has been subject to a lot of psychological manipulation so far, as we're seeing characters like Randall, Elgin, Jim, and even Donna be pushed to their limits as well. And now, as we take a look ahead to Episode 6, we see that the trailer starts off with Victor and Henry approaching the entrance to the cave, followed by a shot of them actually inside. And this is a scene I am really looking forward to seeing in Episode 6, probably more than anything else. Seeing Victor back down in those caves once again, and searching for the one thing that sent him into the fetal position last time he was down there. When we look back to the Season 2 premiere, when Victor and Tabitha were down in these caves previously, Victor seemingly had no problem walking around these monsters. Yet seeing this puppet Jasper absolutely terrified him, and while we weren't aware as to why at the time, but now in Season 3 we have learned definitively that the puppet did in fact belong to Christopher, and how the puppet itself seemed to be coming alive in some of these flashbacks that Victor is now having, indicating that the puppet was maybe possessed or being used by some kind of entity as a conduit through which to speak and control people. While at one point this puppet was used by Christopher to make Victor and the entire town laugh, it seems like a very dark turn occurred where the puppet became the puppeteer. But what exactly was the extent of the manipulation that Jasper exuded over Christopher is still up in the air. What exactly were this puppet and Christopher arguing about, for one? Was Christopher trying to resist this puppet's influence or this puppet's plan? Did this puppet have a hand in setting up the massacre of 1978? And could this puppet potentially even be behind the symbol that Jade and Christopher before him were plagued with seeing? And another question I've also been wondering is how exactly this puppet got down into the caves to begin with. Last we saw, it looks like this puppet did belong to Christopher up in the town, and if Christopher did have this puppet during the massacre of 1978, did that mean that Christopher or maybe one of the monsters took this puppet down into the caves afterward? Or are we about to enter full-on Chucky territory where this puppet himself can actually move? After all, we did already see this puppet move its head a little bit in Victor's flashback, indicating that some kind of movement at the very least was possible, but what exactly is the extent of that movement still remains to be seen. But definitely leave your thoughts and comments down below. How exactly do you think this puppet made its way down into the caves? I also thought it was very interesting that Victor is choosing to take Henry, of all people, with him down into these caves. I thought for sure he would have gone with maybe someone like Sarah or even Jade, but to see him and Henry down there was an interesting choice. Not exactly the father-son bonding I had in mind, but this is Fromville after all. And based off some of these official Episode 6 stills, it looks like they do indeed come across Jasper down in those caves, sitting at a diner table nonetheless, which is in a completely different spot from the last time we saw Jasper down in those caves when Jade spotted him at the end of Season 2, so it's going to be interesting to see what kind of information, if any at all, Victor and Henry managed to get out of this puppet. The trailer then cuts to a scene of Boyd informing Ellis and Fatima that Christy is now in possession of an ultrasound, which arrived with the new ambulance. And this is definitely going to be one of the higher anticipated scenes in Episode 6, as there have been tons of fan theories as to what is really going on with Fatima, and what could potentially be growing inside of her, if anything at all. And while these trailers can specifically be edited just to throw us off every once in a while, it does look like there is a bit of a concerned look on a few of the faces inside the medical clinic during the ultrasound, which of course begs the question, just what exactly are they seeing on that screen? Is there some kind of deformed baby inside of her? Are they going to find out that she's potentially carrying more than one baby, potentially twins or even triplets? Or could it potentially read that she's not pregnant at all? And then, of course, there is also the possibility that it might potentially just look like your average everyday pregnancy, which will only add even more questions. Whichever the outcome, at the very least it looks like we are going to be getting some more definitive information on this pregnancy and what exactly is happening with Fatima. But next we get to one of my favorite scenes in the episode 6 trailer of Jade at the bottle tree and the return of Tom the bartender. And this is something we had a feeling was going to be happening in Season 3, another cameo from Tom as well as Father Cautry. A few months back, right as Season 3 was just getting ready to start filming, we reported on 2 instances of both the actor playing Tom and the actor playing Father Cautry, both up in Nova Scotia, Canada, right around the same time of the Season 3 filming, which led us to believe that Tom and Cautry would both be making a cameo in Season 3, and luckily we got to see both of these awesome characters return, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Tom again. I really enjoyed his previous cameo in Season 2 when he appeared to Jade at a time when Jade needed some guidance the most, and gave him that little bit of courage that he needed to enter the caves, where he went on to see the vision of the Onkui children. And in the trailer, we hear Tom ask to Jade if he really thinks this thing is going to tell you anything, with Jade replying that he doesn't believe anything is here by accident. Which of course is pretty consistent with Jade's character up until this point. Jade has been making many references to Fromville being a kind of puzzle of sorts, a puzzle where we just don't have the pieces to fit together. But Jade is very confident that there are threads that are beginning to appear, but unfortunately feels like he just doesn't have enough context to see how exactly they connect yet. And another thing we're noticing is that it appears Jade might be in front of a different bottle tree here than the faraway bottle tree Tabitha used, as we see the base and trunk of this one is far skinnier and doesn't have any opening. Which makes me wonder if this is the same bottle tree that Boyd and Sarah find at the end of Season 1, as that one was also not a faraway tree and was much skinnier than the one Tabitha used. The bottle faraway tree seems to be laying in a little bit of a clearing, whereas this one seems to be in a more heavily wooded area, similar to Boyd and Sarah's. But next, we also hear Tom say to Jade that if he really wants to defeat this place, he needs to sober up. And we have seen Jade hit the flask a little bit more than usual in response to dealing with some of these latest visions he's been seeing. And perhaps clarity of mind will bring a new perspective on some of these things Jade has been seeing that might give him a fresh outlook and give him some new kind of angle to attack the problem from. But then, on the other hand, there is also the possibility that this Tom apparition doesn't want Jade to solve the mystery. One thing that the show has been setting up until this point is how an altered state of mind and an altered state of consciousness can potentially lead to visions and premonitions of weird things here in Fromville, along with the evidence that things like hallucinogenics and other potential substances could open one's mind even more. And could this mean that Tom wants Jade to sober up so his mind doesn't get opened up to the other possibilities of what this place might really be? Or will sobering up be exactly what Jade needs? Next, the trailer ends with a shot of Tabitha and Ethan sitting at the table, with Tabitha asking if there is anybody upstairs, with Ethan suspiciously replying no, as we see a shot of Tabitha heading up the stairs, and a shot of the door opening behind her, and then her seemingly freaking out over something. But what exactly did Tabitha see upstairs? Have the Onkui children returned for an encore? Or could this potentially even be Thomas-related? We did see earlier in the season that Jim and even Ethan were getting phone calls of someone claiming to be Thomas, their dead son. And now that Tabitha is back, could she also be having some kind of similar experience? Or could this potentially even be tied to the boy in white in some way? Or could she maybe be seeing something completely new altogether? Whatever it ends up being, it certainly seems like it is sending her into a panic, similar to the reaction she had in the real world after seeing the bracelet in Henry's car, which subsequently led to her accident, leading her back here in Fromville to begin with. So it should be pretty interesting to see how this scene plays out, especially considering these trailers are sometimes meant to throw us off. It certainly looks like Episode 6 is going to pick up in some very interesting places. I, for one, cannot wait to see the scene of Victor and Henry descending down into the caves, and I'm really looking forward to seeing some more team-ups between Tabitha and Jade. And based off some of the images from the Episode 6 stills, it looks like they are going to be teaming up again and trying to decipher some of these numbers that they have found in the bottle tree. As we even see Jade drawing a small tree diagram of sorts trying to decipher what some of these numbers might mean. And it also looks like Randall is going to be up and back on his feet in Episode 6 as well, as we see some shots of he and Marielle in the clinic, and some other shots of him and Julie outside of the bus, including this shot of the crazy scar that he is going to be carrying going forward. And it'll be interesting to see if Randall continues to hold a grudge against Boyd for leaving him outside, and if there is some kind of clash heading between the two. We also get a few really interesting shots of Elgin in episode 6 as well, and it looks like he is taking a look at multiple more Polaroid pictures. Which of course begs the question, are these new photos that they have just recently taken, or could these potentially be some older photos that Elgin has found? And if they are older photos, could they potentially even be telling him something a little bit more about this kimono creature he has been seeing? Maybe she was human at one point and was a member of Fromville stuck here in the past. After all, Elgin does have a pretty peculiar look on his face when he is staring at some of these photos, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what is going on here. But there we have it, folks. Episode 6 is just around the corner now, and I cannot wait to dive into the second half of Season 3 and see some of the bigger plot twists and turns that they have in store for us, and what big revelations are going to be coming at the end of the season. But that is going to do it for my breakdown of the Episode 6 teaser trailer entitled Scar Tissue. And definitely leave your thoughts and predictions down below. What do you think is going to happen in Episode 6, and what scenes are you looking forward to seeing the most? And as always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like on your way out, and subscribe and hit that bell for notifications to stay up to date on all of our upcoming content. And as always, keep those tinfoil hats on, folks, and I will see you on the next one.
And listen! Okay, ding-dongs. If you don't subscribe to Jeremy Ice and Fire, you're gonna spend the night in the box.
Hey, be really quiet.
Christy has an ultrasound machine. Wait, what? It was on the ambulance that came into town.
So you really think this is gonna tell you anything?
I don't think anything's here by accident.
You really want to beat this place? Sober up.
Is someone upstairs? No.